Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're going to recap or look back at our 2021 10-game wish list.
Yes. We did 2 10-game wish lists. We did one for games
20,
released.
Yeah, 2020 and
yes.
2021.
So this is 2020 and on released games that were on our wish list. We also did a video of games released before 2020 that were on our wish list, and you can see that original video as well as our looking back on those games and kind of any updates of ones we've added to the collection, which was quite a few. I'm not going to lie. So you can check out both of those videos as well as our original 2020 and on wish list video, which we will be recapping today.
Yes. So, yeah, I think we'll just get right into it. I think we're starting with my 10, and we'll just go from there and talk about whether or not we've played them or have them. And I'll start out with Cloud Age, which right off the bat we have not gotten or played.
We have not.
This is one
my feelings are pretty much the same. It has a great cover, and that has me interested
it does
a little bit.
Cover.
But I'm a little scared of the gameplay.
It's Alexander Pfister, right?
Yep.
I really like the cover as well, and that's one of the things that keeps drawing me to it. And every time I see it, I'm like, I'd really like to get it. But then I feel like I don't know if I've heard the best reviews, but not. I don't know if I've heard like bad reviews either. Just kind of a middle of the road almost type feel. So I'm like, I don't know. Maybe it's not special enough to get that, because I think it has like a hidden card mechanism where you kind of can see a little bit. And I thought that sounded really cool, but I guess I don't know. Maybe in actual practice it might not work as well as it sounds, but I think there are still people that have really enjoyed it. We haven't added this one to the collection yet. I think there's just, I guess, maybe other ones that have gotten added over it. But I could see myself eventually either playing this one or maybe adding it to the collection. It'll probably be based on maybe playing some of these other games that maybe we have but have not played yet. We'll have to see.
Yes.
But yeah. So that was a lot about a game we didn't even have. But then let's get into the next one, which is Curious Cargo.
Just like last list, C games.
We
don't have enough. We already have like 35 games starting with the letter C, and we want to add more.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's just a lot of board games with the letter C.
This one even has 2, Curious Cargo.
Let us know below what your most populous letter in your board game collection is. But yeah, so Curious Cargo is a 2-player game, and it's kind of a bit of a route building game where you're kind of building routes of, I think it's like conveyor in order to get certain things somewhere. I've only played this one once, and it was quite a while ago. I'd say it wasn't the most enjoyable experience.
I did not play it.
You didn't.
You and Michaela. And I hear it's a little thinky. Maybe a little more difficult than what I look for in a 2-player only game. I usually like pretty quick games when it comes to that.
And if I remember right, I felt like there was a little bit of a luck factor in it. And yeah, it didn't really excite me too much. So I think this is one that could probably leave the collection even. Probably give it a play or 2 more and see if maybe missed something. Might just not have been in the mood for a game like that at the time. But yeah, I had been interested in Pipeline, which I feel like I think this one's kind of based on some similar things, only as a smaller 2-player version. So I guess if nothing else, I won't have to play Pipeline potentially, unless someone in the comments below says no, Pipeline is way better. Maybe then I'd have to still try it. But yeah, so not a big hit, but did play it once. So then we get to Rococo, and this one was one I think at the time. Now looking back, I think I'm still excited to play this one at some point, but I don't know that I'd want to add it to the collection. I think this one might have just got me by the newer version that they had come out with, that looked really, really
cool
awesome,
cover.
really amazing. That had kind of drawn me in quite a bit at the time. I think my desire for it has faded a little bit.
Designer of this?
I don't remember who that one was.
It's not Lacerda, is it?
I know
he
it's
does
the same.
games with the company.
It's Eagle Griffin Games, I think, and he does a lot of their games. Yeah. I guess I don't know if he did this one or not. But yeah, I'm still excited to try it out. But I think I might have been a little extra hyped on kind of that new edition of it a little more.
I guess I don't know what is the exact theming of this. Is it like fashion?
I'm not exactly
I think of it
sure.
as fashion.
Yeah, I think it's
and we played Predaporter, so I really enjoyed Predaporter, so I don't feel a huge need to go play this one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's fashion or a combination of fashion and almost. I don't know if there's dancing in it or something. A ball. Yeah, that's that was the word I was thinking of. Yeah. So I'd be interested in eventually giving that one a try, but it's probably no longer on my highest part of my wish list. Then we get into Anno 1800, which is one we actually do own now, but we have not gotten to the table yet.
Not yet.
Someone hasn't wanted to play it, even though he told me at the time that he did. Do you have any words to explain yourself?
No. No, this is... I don't know, for some reason, I really like the cover. It's just a ship on there, but for some reason it just stands out from other ones. It seems like it should be a really generic one, but really like it, and saw a little bit of a playthrough, and as overwhelming as 200 tiles in the middle of the board could be,
not that.
150. It still felt like one that I could enjoy from the little bit that I did see, and now I've kind of forgotten the gameplay aspects of it, which I think
there's a little bit of a tech tree type thing, where you kind of need to be able to have certain things or have access to certain things in order to build a new one, and kind of so on and so forth, which I find to be pretty interesting. So I'm still really looking forward to getting this one to the table. It's one of those that's got my attention, kind of like if you watched our other video, Heaven and Ale always gets my attention because we got it facing outward, so I see it all the time, and it just mocks me. But then we get to another one that we've actually played, and both of us have played, and that is the Red Cathedral.
Yes, were both of these Nerds Day? Anno 1800 and Red Cathedral?
Well, I think Anno 1800 was one that I had gotten pre-Nerds Day because it was on it's a discounted price it's from our other list that we just did.
I was thinking, I'm like, did he mention this?
Yes, but it was one that...
the other.
But yeah, so then the Red Cathedral I did get on Nerds Day.
Yep.
Because that was one that I'd been looking at for quite a while. It has a bit of a rondel mechanism to it, and just kind of some resource management, and then trying to kind of contract fulfillment or build pieces of the cathedral, kind of in a race fashion as quickly as possible. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'll win for sure. So yeah, we ended up playing this one, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was a very simple... It ended up being really simple. At first I was worried that it might be a little too thinky, but I think it was kind of just an almost next level game after maybe some of your initial Catan, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne. I think you'd be able to handle one like this as a next level.
So I think just kind of the mechanisms aren't too much more complicated than those, but there's just a little more depth and strategy. I really enjoyed it as well. Who knows when our first impressions of that will be released in relation to this, but stay tuned. I think it'll be after this video.
Subscribe.
And you can find out just how much I enjoyed this game.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
So yeah, that was a solid hit for us. The first hit out of the ones, considering we haven't had a chance to play many others, and then we go back to another one that we have.
Yeah, that is the first one that I had played.
Yeah, that's true.
List. The second one you've played, because you played Curious Cargo.
Yep. And then we get to another one that have, but have not played. And got another Alexander Pfister game of Boonlake. Looks like I had Gutenberg as well, maybe? Or Guten
Great
Boon?
Western Trail.
Oh, Great Western Trail.
GWT.
I read it as Gut. That makes more sense, because those are both Alexander Pfister games, so that makes a lot more sense. I'm like, not sure why I put these together, but okay. Gutenberg is one game. And maybe, I don't even know if it was out at this time when we made this list, but that is a game that would be on my wish list now. And but Great Western Trail, Boonlake. We do have Boonlake, do not have Great Western Trail. Am still, and have not played Boonlake, and I'd look forward to playing Great Western Trail on Board Game Arena. So hopefully we'll eventually get to those ones as well. They're kind of right up there with Anno 1800 on some of those games that I want to get to the table when possible. But yeah, we're going through the alphabet, and we've already kind of gotten past all the early letters, so kind of finishing up with that before getting back to the early letters has been a bit of a priority recently, so looking forward to that one. But then we get into another one that I've only played again, and that so we did end up getting this one, and that's Praga, Caput, Regni. So we've got Vladimir Suchy making an appearance, and this was one that I seemed like I wanted for quite a while once I'd heard about it, because it just sounded like it had a lot of Euro-y feel to it, and I think I actually thought I was going to get it earlier than I ended up getting it. For some reason I was thinking, I don't remember, but yeah, that I had a really great time with the game, and even though the board is quite overwhelming looking, the action selection mechanism in the game was actually pretty simple, and I was hoping to get you or Michaela to play it again with me so that I could get, better remember kind of how to play it, so by getting, another play or whatever in right away, since there were still, some things that you'd have to probably relearn if you don't play it often. But I thought most of it seemed simple enough that it made a lot of sense. So then you picking that, and then you're kind of just doing some other random stuff around the board, and I just really, really enjoyed it, and it seemed like you could get points in various different ways, which I always find really enjoyable. And I'm hoping to get that one back to the table.
Yeah, still one that I'm a little afraid of. But yeah, you saying that it's a lot simpler than it looks, definitely. Although you do have interest here, wanting to get to play it more, so then I don't take it with a grain of salt. But one of the other players in that game as well, Carson, said that she thought that I would actually enjoy it quite a bit, and it's not too overwhelming, so I'm easing into it. I'm getting a little more ready to actually give it a try.
Yeah, I would say it's a solid one if you like some getting on the heavier side of Euros, medium to heavy. But then we get to my next one, which
one
was
that I've actually played,
Beyond the Sun, and that was one I can't remember if it was available on Board Game Arena at that time, if I had played it at all, or just heard of it. But it was pretty much, I think at the time I might have just known it was kind of Tech Tree the game. Is where you're just kind of having to invent certain tech in order to get like level 2 to level 3 to level 4, and you're just doing the various actions in order to do that by using, it's been a little bit since we've played it now, but kind of I think there's like 2 resources in the game, sort of like the people themselves and kind of like a coal or something, whatever it is. And yeah, I've had a lot of really fun plays with this one. It's a really, really solid game. I think it's exactly what it says it's going to be. So if that tech tree type thing sounds fun to you, I think you will enjoy it. If you're going into it looking for a game with theme of a Beyond the Sun, probably not gonna love the game. But yeah, it has a lot of really good stuff in it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. Thought it would be a little overwhelming, but it was remarkably easy to grasp, and even kind of change strategy throughout the game, because there's kind of, at the end of each turn, you can choose to gain one income or the other, which I really liked. So if something's not working out, you can just kind of go a different way. So really, really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. Then I'm actually going to skip ahead to my next one, which is Russian/Ultimate Railroads, because at the time I think there was already kind of either talks or a pre-order for Ultimate Railroads, which kind of had all of I think the expansions and Russian Railroad all included in it, and that sounded appealing to me. I think Russian Railroads was a little harder to get. I don't know if it was out of print or between print runs or what it was, but it was just a little more spendy, harder to get. So I was hoping to get that version, and because another one I don't remember if we had played it on Board Game Arena at the time, but we did end up playing it once, Russian Railroads on Board Game Arena one time. And now that's been a while ago, but I do remember enjoying it a lot. And I've wanted to get back to playing the game, but the Ultimate Railroads has kind of just sat in this pre-order thing for a long time, and just it had to be like last week or the week before it finally came off of that, where it's like, okay, now it's in stock and for sale. So I see people on Instagram actually getting copies of it, so it must finally be arriving. And that, so it's probably been about a year that it's been in that other status, so didn't really miss out on the opportunity to get it. I wouldn't have gotten it any earlier, but haven't had a chance to go back to Board Game Arena and play it again, because I think I definitely want to try that at least once or twice before going into getting Ultimate Railroads. Just a little bit.
I think Ultimate Railroads is on BGA.
That's on there too. So, and maybe find out that maybe it just is one that would play or would be better just playing it on Board Game Arena than having to set it up on the board or on the table. I would say that is the case for some games, so maybe that would be the case.
So you do think you need to play this more? This isn't one where if you saw it in the door 10 that you wouldn't be highly tempted.
I would be tempted, but I think I could wait. I do remember.
This is one of the games where you kind of said that you kind of kept thinking about it.
It is one of those.
At night. Keeping you up for hours.
That is true. Light. I have thought about this one, and it does seem like it's been one that's been on my list for a while, but I think I could wait. I could get myself to wait and play it at least one more time on that, because I think that time we played together, and I don't remember. I think I kind of knew what was all going on, but you didn't really know.
That's like one of my most out of the loop playing of a game.
So I'd be interested to see kind of how it plays, because it's been a while since we did that too. So get back to it, give it another play, see what you think of it. Because if you really didn't like it, then it'd be a little more hesitant maybe, and maybe I could try it with Michaela on Board Game Arena too. So. But then we get to my final game, and that one is Hadrian's Wall, which is a flip and write with meeples in it. Yes. Interesting. Kind of end up being a resource, sort of, in a way. But this one was one that I was looking forward to for quite a while, just because I really love a lot of the games that Garfield Games puts out, and it was interesting to see that they had put out one of these verb and write games, and it seemed to be a heavier one, so I was really interested in that.
Two huge pages.
Right, two huge pages, because it made me most closely, I think of Gone Shown Clever, but I felt like that was one that it is, I don't know if I'd say simple, but like I feel like I've figured out kind of the best way to approach that one, in order to try to get a really high score, if you're wanting to do it that way. Like, I think there's certain things you have to try to get if you're going to do it, or get a high score in that one. Whereas I thought this one looked like, okay, this is going to be that, because it had kind of similar bonus structure, where that's one of the things I really love about Gone's, is it's got, you fill in this, now that triggers, and you can fill in one on the blue, and now you filled that line in, so you get to trigger. I really love how that works, and I saw that this one kind of looked like it had a similar thing to that, and now I've played this one a few times, probably actually been a handful of times, and I've really loved every play of this. I think you played it one time.
One time, yep.
I've actually played this one a few times solo, and I don't play games solo very often. So this is one that I actually get tempted to play solo whenever I see the box. So I really, really love this game. It might be my favorite verb and write game. I just find it so satisfying, and even with all these plays, I'm like, I really don't know what the best thing to do is. I don't know what piece to actually focus on, what's the best thing to fill in for points. It feels like I've done slightly different things each time. There are some common things that I'll do, but I've tried different things, and it seems like my scores always kind of end up being around the same thing, so it seems like everything kind of works pretty balanced, so
yeah, in my one play I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think you get to do about as much as you should be able to do in the game. It's not one of those where you get to do everything, but you still feel like, oh, okay, I accomplished quite a bit. I accomplished most of what I set out to do. And it is a lot. It's 2 whole pages.
It is a lot.
Each of those is usually broken up into sections, which it's not just like random stuff everywhere. It all makes sense, and there's different connections that you can kind of keep together, and not as overwhelming as I thought it was going to be, while still probably being the biggest, chewiest, thinkiest flip and write we have.
But it is that. So I wouldn't go into this slightly like, oh, I really like Gons, so I should try this. I don't know if you're if you like Gons, if you're necessarily going to like this.
If you like the Garfield games,
right?
Then you can check this out. I think, if you like Paladins of the West Kingdom. Architects is a little simpler, but if you like those kind of games, I think that's more an indication if you're going to like this versus the flip and write or roll and write genre.
I would agree. So I think that one, out of the few that I've played, is probably my favorite one.
I'd probably go Red Cathedral of those, but like I said, I probably got a combined maybe 4 or 5 plays of all of these games.
Right.
So not as much there. Maybe Beyond the Sun's probably pretty close between those.
That's pretty solid too.
Yep. So then that was your list. Now on to mine. I'm interested. I haven't really looked as to how many of these we played, because obviously these are newer, 2020 and on. There's one coming up that hasn't delivered even yet. So I'm interested if there will be as few played as your list.
That's true.
Because the previous... The pre-2020, we played a lot more. Starting off, I had Dead Reckoning, which we had not played.
We have
not owned. And after watching a Dice Tower playthrough, this one's probably fallen off. Well, it has fallen off of the wish list, and I'm pretty glad did not pull the trigger on this. There are some parts of it that are interesting and are cool, but it just seems like quite a bit too much for just a fun pirate-themed game.
Right.
From John DeClaire, who I really like some of his other games, and it just felt like
it seemed like it was long too.
Yeah, long as well, and it's just not what I was looking for when I think of a John DeClaire design. I think of Mystic Vale and Space Base, which are race games, and they kind of just wrap up and this. I didn't get that feel from the playthrough I saw of this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, because this one did have my attention as well, and after that, it died down for me quite a bit. Not saying that it could be a really great game, but I think my excitement for it has gone down quite tremendously.
Yeah, so, I agree.
We'll see. Maybe if I ever saw it for cheap, maybe then. But I don't even know if it's easily in retail, or if it's in retail print. I don't know currently, but
next up is a game that we did end up getting and have played a few times. This is Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. So the card game version of Terraforming Mars, even though Terraforming Mars is a card-driven game itself. And this is one that is just heard a lot of people kind of prefer this actually to Terraforming Mars. So
it's kind of like Race to the Galaxy rule for the Galaxy
had,
too.
Like action selection. Yep. So we played it, and I played it solo a few times, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. But I've also gone and played Terraforming Mars original game more lately. Even one game with Stephen Bonacore himself. And
you can check out our recap of the World Series of Board Gaming.
I didn't know how we were going to tie into plugging that one in there, but we did it.
We did it.
But yeah, so I thought I'd prefer Ares, but currently I think I do prefer the original Terraforming Mars game. But it has been a while since I played Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. I do enjoy it, but it's not like super high for me, where Terraforming Mars has been climbing.
Okay. Yeah, if you've watched our top 50 of all time, the last couple years, Terraforming Mars is extremely high on my list, so I knew it was going to take a lot to kind of, top my list. And I also enjoyed Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition, but I don't think it surpassed Terraforming Mars for me. I don't think it was even close for me, but I did still like it quite a bit, and I think it did still give a bit of a Terraforming Mars vibe to it. I think it was just the fact that it was still a long game, so it wasn't like, if I want, the normal Terraforming Mars, it's going to take me, 2+ hours possibly. It's not like, I could play this and still get a pretty close experience, but, in an hour.
Yeah,
so
I think that's
if it had that,
then
maybe it could. It just seemed to still be pretty long as well.
And we played it 2 players, so I'm not sure. With more players, getting more actions, if that would change it up. I forget, was there was a dummy action as well that we threw in there?
So.
But
yeah. I think, though, I played it a couple times. I might have even played solo once. I think as I played it more, I actually enjoyed it more, too. Yeah. So.
Next up, obviously, every top 10 list I do, I have to throw in a twofer. So I have 2 games here, which were just a Marvel-themed game, which the big ones that were on my mind were Marvel Champions and Marvel United. Both of which, I think Champions is, like Roy Kennedy's, like one of his favorite games of all time, maybe number 1, I think it has been, maybe?
I don't remember.
I forget, but
pretty high.
That one, and Marvel United, obviously, being a lighter weight, or at least that's what I knew going into it. And we ended up getting one of these for like $12 on Amazon or something, just a really awesome deal for what I think are fantastic components, and that is Marvel United. And knowing that it is simpler going into it with that, not for like a grand Marvel experience. I've really, really enjoyed this one, and just kind of love the storyline that you're creating of playing cards, and it's just very simple, just a few different symbols that correspond to certain actions, and how you get to benefit from the card you play as well as the previous card played by your teammates. And I just thought that kind of really, even though it is very, it's not like super thematic, but I feel like it does come through a little bit, because you think of moments in movies where they're kind of charging up the other superheroes and maybe throwing them, or just teaming up different combo moves, and kind of it's a nice thematic tie for that mechanism.
That's true. Yeah, I ended up seeing this one for cheap, and I was like, if we're ever going to get a Marvel game, I suppose it'll be this one, because, I think in the original Kickstarter, I was really, really tempted, because they had tons and tons of stuff. I don't even remember what you could all back on the first one, but then, they had all the Kickstarter exclusive stuff. So you had, I don't know how many heroes and villains that you had. So I was really interested in possibly getting that, and I did not end up backing it, just because I was afraid it might be too simple. And I didn't. I'm like, if it's too simple and I don't like it, it's going to be a lot of money into that. Seems like if I had bought it, that would have been the better idea, because I think some of even the individual extras and stuff,
the Asgard set is
insanely
50,
expensive now.
$60.
Right. So it's like, well, if I hadn't liked it, but at the time, I don't know that I knew as much about some of the Simon stuff being sometimes harder to get. But yeah, so maybe knowing what I know now, I might have done that back. But
Yeah.
I ended up getting it, and I would agree that even though it is simpler, I enjoyed it quite a bit as well.
Yep.
And I thought it was really clean.
Yeah, I think what it's going for, I think it delivers it perfectly. And if we can get all those sets for like that same deal of like $10-12, I'd probably pull the trigger on that.
The whole set?
Or 12 a piece.
Oh.
Instead of like 30 a piece. I might pull the trigger on 100 extra characters for $10.
I'm like, okay.
Each individual
if we can
set,
find
if we could get
that
that
opportunity. If anyone out there is
Anyone's
selling
willing.
their entire set for
We'll
$12,
we'll even take
we'll get it.
already opened and unboxed.
That's true.
Used. Lightly used.
Lightly used.
For $10. It's a great deal. It's as good as you're going to get at this point.
Yeah, I don't think anyone is trying to buy this stuff.
But yeah, then on from that to the next one, which is a roll and write, I believe. And this is one that we have not played, have not owned, have not gotten any app for. I don't know if there is an app. Seems like there's an app for a lot of roll and writes, but I don't know if I've seen one for this. And that is Super Skill Pinball 4Cade, I believe it is called, and this is pretty much just Tom Vassell hype. He kind of really enjoyed it and said it really delivered the kind of the experience of a pinball game, which, I mean, I don't have a lot of experience with, but that's a cool theme that I enjoy, and just interested in kind of extending the game and hitting the ball up there again. I don't know. I don't do it very. I have played it maybe a couple times, handful of times in my life. This is one that I'm still interested in, but I think just being roll and write. There's so many of those, so many blank and writes out there, and so many in our collection that it doesn't feel as urgent to get this one because it's probably not going to be super unique or innovative. And maybe it will be if I do ever play it, but just in my mind, it's just like, it can probably wait.
Yeah. I would say this one's, if you put it in front of me, taught me how to play, I'd be willing to give it a try. It seems like an interesting theme, and it'd be kind of cool to see how they actually do that if you're kind of trying to prolong a game. I usually like that in games, so I don't know if that is what they're doing in this one, but I usually like that in games like we said, like Terraforming Mars or Tapestry, or some of my two favorites where you just try to make things last as long as possible. I don't know if that's the case there, but if it is, maybe it'd be my favorite.
Ooh.
I doubt it, though. Can't beat Hadrian's Wall.
Oh, it's gonna.
Now he's got to get it.
Speaking of Tapestry, don't you love that cover? Andrew Bosley artwork.
I do.
And that's one of the things that drew me into this game. Skyrise, which is not, it's currently on Kickstarter. I don't know, the campaign's probably closed now. So we did end up backing this. This was one that I just, at the time, just knew the name, just knew the cover. And kind of, it's based on Metropolis, I think it is called. And it's a game that Z Garcia was very, very excited about. So I was like, Z Garcia is this excited about a game. Z
I gotta
Garcia
be excited.
loves Bruno Catala. He loves clever games. This isn't Bruno Catala,
but you
just
don't
when
know.
Z loves a game, Bruno Catala cleverness comes to mind. Something really cool, and this one looked like it definitely had that. There's a area bidding mechanism where one person, it's like area control type things maybe on the map. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I didn't design it, but like you bid on this spot with like a numbered tower, which is going to be really cool minis. And then your opponents outbid you with their towers in adjacent areas, so they're not bidding on the same area. So that's just a really clever thing that I haven't seen done ever before. I mean, obviously it was based on a different game, so
The bidding makes me think a little bit of Raw, maybe, but that's
maybe
not
a little bit.
quite, with you're actually putting things out on a board. It's different, but
just adds another layer of kind of moving the bidding around a map, which is
interesting.
crazy to me, and kind of maybe locking people or limiting their options. Like, I'll go over here because they don't want what's adjacent to that. Just an extra thought to bidding, which I thought was really cool. And the production looks amazing as well, with great artwork.
Yeah, I'm interested in trying this one when it eventually shows up.
Yes.
So.
Yep. If it does show up, hopefully it delivers.
That's true.
And I think they did good. Hopefully.
That's true.
Maybe. I have no clue. Next up was Starcadia Quest, which we have not played or added to the collection. This is just another kind of dungeon crawler, fight your opponents. Don't know, haven't looked into it much more. This one's probably fallen a little bit for me just because we've gotten so many other games that do deliver that badly, and it's, I don't know, there's just so many more. This one as well, I think there's like a little campaign or scenarios, and it's like maybe like 5, and I'm like, hey, that just doesn't seem like much as well.
Yeah, I don't know too much about this one.
Yeah,
but
it hasn't really stuck around, so I don't know. I'd still be interested in playing it, but I feel like I do have enough of those types of games that I'm probably fine holding off on this one for a while.
Yeah, and I feel like some of these it would probably be good to go to a convention like a Dice Tower one, or something where you have access to a big game library to kind of try some of these that we were at least really excited about at one point, and it's probably still a little bit of excitement of getting to play them. But yeah, planning out, okay, we're going to play these ones, so then you can kind of read up on rules and stuff beforehand. So I think this would be probably a good case of that, because I definitely heard some good things about this one, but I don't know too much about it.
Yeah, glad that you mentioned going to a convention and trying out new games, because, like we mentioned, we went to the World Series of Board Gaming and tried out a couple new games in the Dice Tower West library that they had there, and one of those, the first game that we actually played there, was Merchant's Cove. So, spoiler alert, we did play this game.
We did play it.
Did not add it to our collection. We did not steal it from the library.
Tim wouldn't have been happy with us. Tom wouldn't have either.
But yeah, this is one that my excitement for it and interest in it never really died down. It's probably been the same since we made this list when we actually played it. And after playing it, I did enjoy it quite a bit. I enjoyed my character. I feel like mine was probably the most welcoming for first play.
First place.
I think yours and Michaela's were a little more complicated. I mean, I couldn't really tell. I was just focused on my thing. But that's one thing that I really love. Just everyone felt so different. Especially like your board, which I saw a little more than Max, and I was just like, wow, what just crazy playing a completely different game than I am. Core scoring points the same way, but just a whole different way to get there, and I really enjoyed it and would still be interested in adding this one to the collection.
Yeah, and I think it would have, like I had said, if we had planned that we were going to play this one, we could have looked into the rules a little bit more. I think that one might have made it a little difficult based on the type of game it was. Like you said, each player was doing something completely different. So I would say it wasn't probably the greatest experience just because of that portion of it, not, having to do completely different things. But yeah, I still definitely enjoyed it and would love to be able to play it some more and, try the different characters and stuff. And this was one that actually had another Kickstarter recently, and I did back at $1, so I'm gonna have to go back and look once the Pledge Manager opens up and see if it's one worth getting or not. But yeah, it was a solid game. Good choice.
Next up, we have one that is not delivered yet and not back.
I think I've actually seen.
Did someone get it?
And I don't know if it's like review copies or I think it must be some of reviewers now that I think about it. But I think I've seen 1 or 2 people that have this one now.
This is Frosthaven, which I played. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Really, really love that one. Top 50 games of all time. And this one was just like, more of that, please. But it was expensive. Didn't back it, and plus not knowing for sure exactly if they would implement a spiral book. I know there was some talk. I don't know where they landed on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's been a little bit now, and I know they've had some pretty significant changes, I think, throughout the whole kind of process since the campaign. So I think that's why it's kind of taken so long. So I think this was probably already, when we did this list, it was probably already almost a year after the campaign. So it's been another year, I think. I don't want to speak ill of them if that hasn't been that long, but I think it's been that long.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like it's been quite a while.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it felt like it added a few more, like just a few things to the game, which were really interesting. But at the same time, it's a huge game. Jaws of the Lion was, and I played Jaws of the Lion like so much, like back to back, day after day, and that still took a while to get through. And you hear like Tom Vassell, Gloomhaven's right at his top, and still he's not finished the game. He might have now. I'm not sure. I don't think so. There's just so many. Like I just look at like all the character boxes. I'm like, how many freaking characters are there in Gloomhaven? And I'm guessing Frosthaven's no different.
Probably not.
So I'm probably fine for now. Not having that in the collection. Maybe looking. I know they have an app, at least on like Steam or something, and I don't know what the plans are for possibly on Android, which is what we use. I'd probably be more interested in doing that because I've heard really good things about the app and kind of different animations kind of adding to it as well. So I'll probably pursue that first over an actual gigantic copy, especially if there isn't that spiral map book.
And I think the MSRP on it like almost doubled too, so I think now it's going to be selling for closer to $200 or something. So now it's a little more like, okay, I got to be pretty sure I'm going to like this. And maybe they'll make another kind of Jaws of the Lion type games, not spin-off, but whatever you'd call that version for this one. I think at least for my plays of Jaws of the Lion, I've had some really enjoyable games of that, so I would look forward to. I think the theme of the Frosthaven versus Gloomhaven kind of appeals to me a little bit more.
Yeah, I like the Frost more.
So I'd definitely, if they brought out another kind of similar one to Jaws of the Lion, I'd probably be a little more interested in that, just so that it's not mega box. But like you said, I don't know if they maybe have implemented similar to that now in the Frosthaven system, so maybe it is a little bit more approachable, but I'm not 100% sure on where they are.
And then next up, Kemet Blood and Sand, which have not played, have not bought. Was very close to buying it sometimes, but I think the biggest thing that kept me from doing that is the new edition of Kemet. So it should be all blinged out and look amazing, but I thought the board was probably one of my least favorite, ugliest boards that I've seen, especially for just a new big
newer
Kickstarter game, especially going all out with like miniatures and stuff as well, to then be paired with that board, which is really not much better, maybe worse than the original. And I think that's just kind of been a big part keeping it from me, because I'm like, all the other components in this game, I'm just like, oh, that just looks amazing. Put them on that board. I'd rather play with the back side of the board, which is just artwork, and just make shit up as we go. Be like, I'm over here by the big scorpion.
Well, isn't the whole thing of that you can like reach people no matter where?
I mean, you can
just put it on the back of the board.
You could just play on the box.
I have no idea how it's played, so I don't know if that works or not.
But yeah, so didn't get around to this one, and still one that I would be interested in, but it is better at more players. And I know a lot of people say, if you want this type of thing, go with Ankh if you have lower player counts, especially a 2-player count, and go with this if you have like higher 4 or 5 players. And we did actually end up getting Ankh. We have not played that one yet, but since I heard so many people say that, in comparing these two for that player count, it definitely kind of switched over from Kemet to Ankh over time for my excitement. So we can say that we got this game, I guess.
Just haven't played
this placeholder. But But yeah, right now, probably wait to play Kemet before actually buying it. Just to see maybe 2-player if it is good.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. Fine not having it in the collection for now.
Yeah, I know it's one that people talk about, so yeah, I'd probably, if I got the chance to play it somewhere, I'd probably take him up on that. But otherwise, I don't know that this one's one that does much for me.
Yeah. But they got that scorpion miniature.
Scorpions.
And I just said that because speaking of scorpion miniatures, my number one also has a scorpion-like creature miniature.
That is true.
It's the only reason I said that and brought that up. And this is my wish list. I probably didn't really rank them because I kind of threw them together like the same night that we made it. You had, like you said, a few more that were kind of set that kind of gave inspiration to the list. So I just had to rush and find 20 games. And so I probably didn't really order any of them except this one. I did know that this one was my most wanted of this list here, this 2020 and on list, and that is Project Elite. A game that, looking at the cover, wasn't interested. But hearing how it plays, a real-time game, dice rolling, just rolling symbols to move around a map and shoot up aliens, and I'm like, it's not what I expected.
No.
And then watching a playthrough and just seeing how chaotic it is. And that's just exactly what the game is. You're just running around a map, trying to complete objectives, shooting aliens with your awesome guns, with just complicated enough to make them feel different, but not to slow it down in figuring out how this weapon works. I've waited, get this and play it and own it, and I've really enjoyed every playthrough we have. It's just fully delivers on that theme for me.
Yeah, I would agree 100%. If you watched our other list, we talked about Cthulhu Death May Die, and this was pretty similar for me, where I was kind of like, that doesn't seem to do much for me. I think, like you said, the cover, when I saw the cover and had no idea how it was played, I'm like, I don't know about this one, Pepper. It doesn't look all that exciting about me, because I just assumed it was like some sort of, I don't know if you'd call it tactical or whatever type, almost war game type thing, or we got to be lined up and have line of sight to shoot people. That's what I assumed it was, but yeah, once I found out that it was like a timed game and you're rolling your dice and as quickly as you can, doing as much as you can in a minute or however long it was, that was really enjoyable. So you had both of those games, this and Cthulhu Death May Die, were two that I went from not only being like to, but like being, oh gosh, what is he trying to get me to play, to, wow, this is a really fun, really solid game. Because I don't know, that box, I guess I don't know what I would do for a cover to show what you're doing. I guess that does show it, but I'm just like, it doesn't give me that feeling at all.
Guts and gore, and I mean, it's not as playful and fun.
Yeah, it just doesn't give me that. I would not think that's
closer
what it was.
to kind of like a Lovecraftian kind of body horror type stuff, which I'm just not into.
Yeah, because if I saw this at a game store and I had no idea what it was, there's no way I would ever think that's what it was, and I wouldn't even pick it up. Yeah. So, it's if you've looked at the box before and that's what turned you off, definitely check out either a playthrough of it or kind of thoughts on it, review of it, and see if it sounds like it's something for you. Because it was not what I expected. Yeah. But so those were our 10 lists from 2020 on for games that were on our wish list.
Played a lot less of these than the other ones, which the other ones are probably more available as well. There were a few of these that
a little harder to get,
kind of just brand new and probably more expensive.
And some of them, maybe, at least I know for some of mine, were probably more kind of maybe hype of the moment, because they are newer. They were newer. So, and those have maybe kind of faded for maybe new hype of the moment. Which I think I let happen to me a decent amount. So, yeah, that is our list. Definitely let us know in the comments below what games are on your wish list, or if you've played any of these that we either haven't gotten or haven't played yet. Let us know if they are worth trying out, which ones you think are the best ones.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we hope to see you on our other videos, and as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling
on our content.